I always thought the worst pain a mother could feel was losing her child. I was wrong. The real pain is knowing they're alive, well and happy, and you're no longer part of their life. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember because I had just taken my dress out of the dry cleaner's plastic and laid it across the bed. Navy blue chiffon with delicate silver embroidery, modest but elegant, the kind of dress a mother wears to her only son's wedding. I had picked it out 6 months ago, before there was even a proposal, because I believed in his promise. When the time comes, you'll be the first to know, Mom. So when the phone rang that afternoon and I saw Emily's name flash across the screen, I smiled. Finally, I thought, the announcement, the date, maybe even a request to help with the preparations. I imagined myself helping her pick flowers, talking about color schemes, giving her something borrowed. "Hi, sweetheart," I said warmly. There was a pause. "Hi," she replied, curtly. No warmth, no small talk. Then she said it, flatly, like she was telling me what she had for lunch. "We got married yesterday." I felt my knees give way and I sat down on the edge of the bed, the dress crumpling under me like wilted dreams. "You what?" I whispered. "We just did something small," she added almost defensively. "Just a private courthouse ceremony, no guests, very simple." I couldn't speak. My tongue felt like it didn't belong to me. Emily went on, talking about paperwork and how they might do a celebration later, but her words dissolved into static. My heart was pounding in my ears. My hands clutched the dress beside me, not even aware I was wrinkling it beyond repair. She hung up before I said anything. Or maybe I did say something. I can't remember. The next thing I remember clearly is staring at the framed picture on my dresser. A photo of my son, Ethan, as a child, standing in the rain with no umbrella, laughing as I ran out to cover him with my coat. How had we gone from that to this? I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table, replaying every moment from the past 5 years. The late-night phone calls from Ethan when college got overwhelming, the money I wired when he and Emily wanted to move into their own apartment, the time I offered to co-sign on their mortgage because their credit wasn't enough. All those sacrifices, and not even a phone call before he got married? I remembered a flashback so vivid it felt like it was happening right there. Ethan, 18, standing on the driveway after his high school graduation, hugging me tight and saying, "I don't need a dad, Mom. You did everything." So what happened? I thought back to when Emily entered our lives. She was polite at first, even sweet. But as time passed, her kindness started to feel rehearsed. Her eyes always watching, her smile never quite reaching them. I ignored it, of course. I wanted to believe she loved Ethan, and that was enough. But I noticed the small shifts. He stopped coming over for Sunday lunch. When I called, she answered instead. Then the calls slowed. Texts went unanswered, and when I expressed concern, Ethan would say, "You're overthinking things, Mom. Emily's just busy. We're just trying to build our life." I wanted to believe that, so I stepped back. I gave them space. I trusted my son. I didn't know then that I was being quietly erased. And now, they were married. Behind my back, in silence, as if I were a stranger. 2 days later, I received a WhatsApp message from a mutual family friend. No words, just a photo. It was Ethan and Emily standing in front of a floral arch in a vineyard. She wore white, he wore a navy suit. Her makeup was perfect, his smile distant. In the corner of the frame, I could see guests. Dozens, all clapping. So much for a private courthouse ceremony. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the lie, the deliberate, casual lie she told me on the phone, and the fact that Ethan let her. I zoomed in on the photo. That's when I saw it. On Emily's hand, a silver band, a ring I recognized. It wasn't just any ring. It was the one my husband gave me on our 10th anniversary. After he passed, I kept it locked in a safe. Ethan once told me he'd like to give it to the woman he married someday. I said yes when the time is right, and I trusted him. I went to the safe. It was gone. I felt like the ground beneath me was shifting. I wasn't just excluded from their wedding, I was looted from something precious, something intimate. It was no longer just emotional betrayal, it was theft. Why didn't I see it? Why did I ignore the signs? Emily had been orchestrating this for years, making Ethan believe I was clingy, overbearing, difficult. She played the long game, and I was too blind, too trusting to stop it. They used me. My savings helped them buy that house. My jewelry was now on her hand, and my son, the little boy who once cried when I scraped my knee, now stood proudly beside the woman who robbed me of everything. I didn't leave the house for 3 weeks. When I finally did, it wasn't to cry. It was to investigate. I began making quiet calls. A friend at the bank told me there had been recent activity involving Ethan, strange withdrawals from a shared account I'd helped open for their home repairs. I was still a silent co-owner. He didn't even realize it. I got access to the statements. They showed transactions, florists, catering, suit rentals, a DJ. Every lie was documented in dollars. I wanted to scream, but instead, I printed the statements. I put them in a folder. I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to yell or cry. I was going to wait. The dress still lay on my bed, now permanently creased, never to be worn. But I didn't put it away. I left it there. A quiet symbol. A reminder. Because this wasn't over. They thought they had erased me. They thought they could take what they wanted and leave me behind. But they forgot who raised him. They forgot where his strength, and now his weakness, came from. They forgot I am the storm they made, and I am just getting started. The silence between us grew louder after the wedding bombshell. Ethan didn't call, he didn't explain, and Emily, well, she never reached out again, not even to apologize. I waited. 1 day, 2 days, a week, nothing. It was as if I had been exiled from a life I helped build, like a scaffolding torn down the moment the house stood tall. But that house was mine as much as theirs. Maybe not on paper, but in sacrifice, in memory, in blood and bone, it was my name in the foundation, even if they didn't carve it there. I remember when Ethan and Emily found it. A small, cozy bungalow tucked into a cul-de-sac near the edge of town. Emily was ecstatic. Fake ecstatic, if I'm honest now. All wide eyes and Pinterest boards and excited claps. Ethan, being Ethan, worried about the down payment. That was the son I raised. Cautious, measured, never reckless. We were sitting at my dining table when he told me they needed help. He couldn't afford the 20% up front. He looked ashamed to ask. Emily didn't. "We've looked into financing," she had said smoothly, her tone far too polished for the situation. "But it's much easier with a co-signer, and if we had just a little bit of help with the down payment, we could close before winter." She placed her hand over Ethan's, like they were some united front, like she hadn't just asked me for tens of thousands of dollars. I didn't hesitate. I dipped into the savings account meant for my retirement, the account my late husband and I built slowly over years of quiet living, packed lunches, and skipped vacations. I told myself it was for Ethan, for his future, for the life he deserved. I even gave them the vintage oak dining table I'd been saving, the one from my grandmother's house. "So you'll always remember where you came from," I told Ethan. He hugged me, told me I was the best mom in the world. That was 3 years ago. Back then, Emily was all sugar and silk. She'd bring me flowers on Mother's Day, compliment my cooking, offer to help with dishes, though I noticed she rarely actually washed any. She had a talent for making it seem like she was kind, but kindness, real kindness, doesn't leave a person feeling so small. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, things shifted. Ethan stopped canceling lunches. Once or twice became often. Emily's got a lot on her plate, he'd say. She's just tired. Tired became busy. Busy became, she's not feeling well. And soon enough, I was no longer invited. My questions were met with defensiveness. My suggestions brushed off. Even my home became unfamiliar. They stopped visiting altogether. Still, I stayed silent. I told myself this was what independence